Tonight, when the sun goes down, you are going to turn on a light. You will not think about it. Your hand will find the switch before your brain even registers the darkness. It will happen in less than a second, and then the room will be bright and you will move on with your evening. But for 99.9% of human history, that switch did not exist. When the sun set, the world went dark. And something in the darkness was almost certainly trying to kill you. Here is what most people get wrong about fear of the dark. They assume it is irrational. They assume it is a childhood thing, something you are supposed to grow out of, something embarrassing to admit. But fear of the dark is not irrational at all. It is one of the most rational responses your nervous system has ever produced. It is just that it was calibrated for a world that no longer exists. And understanding why your ancestors feared the dark, what they actually did about it, and what that ancient fear is still doing inside your body right now will change the way you think about the lights you leave on at night. Let us go back. Not a few hundred years, not a few thousand, 300,000 years to the edge of the African savanna where your ancestors lived, moved, and survived in a world that became genuinely lethal the moment the sun disappeared. Researchers studying the behavior of leopards, lions, and hyenas, the primary predators of early humans, have found something consistent and sobering. These animals are significantly more active at night, not slightly more, significantly. A 2011 study published in the journal PLOS ONE found that leopards in particular shift almost entirely to nocturnal hunting, and that their kill rates increased dramatically after dark. Your ancestors were not imagining the danger. The danger was real, and it peaked precisely when the light disappeared. So what did your brain do? It adapted. Neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux, who spent decades mapping the fear circuitry of the human brain at New York University, describes what happens when you enter darkness as a cascade, not a single response. Your amygdala, the small almond-shaped structure buried deep in your brain that processes threat, activates before your conscious mind has time to evaluate anything. Before you have decided whether there is something to be afraid of, your body is already preparing to run. Your pupils dilate, your hearing sharpens, your heartbeat increases. Blood moves away from your digestive system and toward your muscles. You become, in a matter of milliseconds, a different version of yourself. A faster, more alert, more dangerous version. This is not anxiety. This is engineering. And here is what makes it stranger. Researchers at the Karolinska Institute in Sweden found that humans show measurably elevated cortisol levels, the primary stress hormone, in the hour before and after sunset, even in modern environments with electric lighting, even in people who do not consciously consider themselves afraid of the dark. Your body still knows when the sun is going down. It still prepares. Even now in your apartment, with your phone and your lamps and your deadbolt, some part of your nervous system is running a 300,000-year-old threat assessment at dusk. But fear was only half of what ancient humans had. The other half was fire. Here is where it gets remarkable. Because fire did not just push back the darkness. Fire did something far more complex, something that researchers have only recently started to fully appreciate. Anthropologist Wiessner of the University of Utah spent years studying the hoansi people of the Kalahari Desert, one of the few remaining hunter-gatherer communities on Earth. She wanted to understand what people actually did around fire at night, what changed when the sun went down and the flames came up. What she found fundamentally changed how researchers think about human social evolution. During the day, she documented conversations among the hoansi were largely practical. Resources, tasks, complaints, who had done what and who had not. The social currency of daylight was information and logistics. But at night, around the fire, something shifted. Stories emerged. Distant places, absent people, the dead, the mythical. Wiessner found that nighttime firelight conversation was dominated by what she called the social imagination, the capacity to think about people who were not there, events that had not happened yet, and worlds beyond the immediate visible environment. Firelight, she argued, did not just protect early humans from predators. It extended the social world beyond the physical one. It created the conditions in which narrative, identity, and shared belief could develop. In other words, the fear of the dark pushed your ancestors toward fire, and fire gave birth to storytelling. You are, right now, a product of that chain. Every story you have ever loved, every myth, every religion, every film, every novel, traces a direct line back to a circle of people sitting close together in the dark, keeping the fear at bay with flame and with words. But there is something else fire did that took researchers by surprise. Biological anthropologist Christopher Dana Lynn of the University of Alabama studied the physiological effects of firelight on human subjects, specifically what happens to the body when people sit in front of an open fire. His findings were striking. Heart rate variability, a key marker of the nervous system's shift from threat mode to recovery mode, improved significantly in subjects exposed to firelight. Blood pressure dropped. The stress response quieted. Fire did not just protect your ancestors, it calmed them. Lynn argues that humans co-evolved with fire over such a long period that the visual stimulus of flickering flame has become hardwired as a safety signal to the nervous system. Your body does not just tolerate fire, it responds to it the way it responds to safety, the way it responds to being held. This is why candles feel romantic. This is why campfires feel profound. This is why people stare into fireplaces for hours and feel something they struggle to name. You are not being sentimental. You are responding to a signal your nervous system has been trained to trust for hundreds of thousands of years. And the fear of the dark is the other side of that same coin. Consider what happens in the absence of fire, the absence of light, the absence of that safety signal. Researcher Jari Hietanen at the University of Tampere in Finland studied pupil dilation responses to darkness in modern humans and found something counterintuitive. The fear response to darkness was not eliminated by cognitive reassurance. Telling people they were safe did not stop the amygdala from activating. The body responded to the darkness regardless of what the conscious mind believed. Your ancestors could not think their way out of the fear. Neither can you. But they found something else, something beyond fire. Proximity. Across virtually every hunter-gatherer society studied by anthropologists, nighttime sleeping arrangements showed the same pattern. People did not sleep alone, ever. Infants slept against their mothers, children slept in physical contact with adults. Adults slept pressed against each other, bodies touching. The idea of sleeping alone in a separate room, in silence and darkness, would have been not just uncomfortable to your ancestors, but genuinely incomprehensible. It would have meant you had been abandoned, left outside the firelight, left to whatever was moving in the dark. Anthropologist James McKenna at the University of Notre Dame, who spent decades studying infant sleep, argues that the modern Western practice of isolated sleep is one of the most radical departures from ancestral human behavior ever documented. The human body, he found, regulates its breathing, heart rate, and arousal levels partially through the physical presence of other bodies nearby. We are not designed to be alone in the dark. We are designed to feel the breath of someone we trust. This is why silence at night feels loud. This is why an empty house feels different from a full one, even when you are in a closed room and cannot see or hear anyone. This is why, even as a fully grown adult, you sometimes leave a light on. You are not being irrational. You are being human. You are running the same ancient calculation your ancestors ran every night for hundreds of thousands of years. That the darkness holds something you cannot see. That proximity and light are safety. That fire is more than warmth. The switch by your door is 300,000 years old. It just took that long to build it. Tonight, when you reach for it, you are doing something ancient. You are pushing back the dark. You are doing exactly what your ancestors did the moment the sun went down and the savanna went quiet, and something out there began to move. You are finding the fire.